Thank you, Sharon. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 6 November 2024, and this is a regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley Select Board. I'm Chair Rich Rita, and here with me today is Vice Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, 6 November 2024, and this is a regular board meeting of the Waterville Valley.
Sorry, my apologies.
Okay, and with me here today is Vice Chair Bob Breeze, and Select Board Member Wendy Rathgeber is not present. We have a quorum of 2, so we will proceed with the meeting. I don't see anybody here for privilege of the floor. So we'll move on to new business, of which there doesn't seem to be any, unless you've got something you've added since we went over the agenda
Nope,
earlier this week.
nope.
Alrighty, let's move on to old business. So the wastewater treatment facility update.
Yep. We had the meeting last week with Black and Beach, and just for those who might be watching the meeting and didn't watch the meeting from last week, we are moving forward with continued design phase on the preferred treatment process of a membrane bioreactor plant. We engineers have not provided us with anything new from last week, so we're just continuing with the process and moving forward.
Okay.
We do have the project up with the entrance off of Tecumseh Road. That's going very well. They did fine grading today. And we are scheduled to have the paving company here on Friday morning. And we should have that paved, as long as the weather cooperates, should have that paved by the end of the day on Friday. The only thing that would be remaining at that point would be the fence installation. And I do not have a scheduled date yet.
Is that the
for
same
the
same fence company as?
Same fence company as did down here, and same type of gate. Where the road comes in, goes over the culvert, and then goes into the treatment plant area. There'll be a gate there. The large flat area that people can see from Tecumseh Road right now will be our site for the laydown area for the treatment plant project for the contractor.
Plantings will wait till spring?
Plantings will wait till spring, yeah. We'll go in and
Finish
it up. The fence that they put up will have the same privacy screening, green privacy screening that we have down here at the transfer station.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right. Let's move on to the Public Works Highway regulations. I confess I've not had an opportunity to read the latest version that you sent.
Yeah, and the intent wasn't really to do anything final today.
Right.
It was just to get your feedback, and if you want to send me questions, Megan and I can respond. Send me questions via email.
Okay.
If you want to BCC the other board members, just respond individually to me, and we'll get you any information,
Alrighty.
additional information that you want. Bob, did you have
anything now, Bob?
Well, I could go through and give you a few comments.
Sure, yeah.
On page 3.
Is this the latest version, a copy of the latest? version?
Well, I'm working off the previous version, but
Okay.
I compared them, so I know.
Yeah, the
Okay.
culverts were the things that we
Yeah.
added on.
On
the
the one we got today?
Yeah.
Okay.
So under bond requirements, C.
Yep.
The last sentence says a portion of the bond shall be released, blah, 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 at completion of the authorized permit work.
Yeah,
Doesn't say when the remainder of the bond will be released.
okay,
Further down on that page, under bodily injury, under comprehensive automobile liability.
Yeah.
It's $1 million each person. I think it should be $3 million each occurrence.
state state law limits liability for the town, but I will check those
I think it should be
liability.
occurrence, not person.
Okay. I will check, liability. Limits, yeah,
The second one, we have 1 million and then
yeah,
it said each person twice.
Yeah.
I was just curious why on sidewalks on page 11, I think it is, maybe
Yeah.
12 for you guys, I don't know. We went from 4 feet to 5 feet in width.
That was because of the vehicle width. You know, with
of the
the
equipment.
sidewalk tractor, the equipment that we use to clear the sidewalks. The standard, snow blower attachments that we're seeing are 5 feet wide, so we wanted it to be wide enough for those.
Okay. Um, I think that was it, I think.
Okay. But are you okay with that reasoning as far as the width?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. It
Okay,
seemed to me that a lot of this stuff is very specific and the Public Works Director ought to have the discretion to modify any of these things as appropriate based on the circumstances and the weather and their experience and,
okay,
I mean,
maybe
you know, it says how many,
putting a comment
At
in
the-
there,
yeah.
adding
it says specifically how many
right,
yards of sand we use and, you know,
Yeah.
718 yards. Whatever it is. It just seems very specific and it ought to be. Seems to me it ought to be more of a guideline and then a
Yeah.
hard and fast. But
right. And you'll get me your.
Yeah, I can do, I'll read it and then Wendy, I don't know, has she had opportunity to get you anything yet?
No,
All right, well, we'll definitely have it on the 20 November regular board for an in-depth discussion because obviously we're getting close to the time where
yep,
you want to get these finished, given the time of year. So, very
okay.
good. Boulder Path Road.
Yeah, so we had the meeting.
Mhm.
Do you want to summarize our discussion with Craig?
Well, I think, yeah, I could do that. I think, now, Bob, you've seen
I haven't
what
seen
have you seen so far?
I haven't seen anything except the financial
The-
estimates.
Of each of the three different options, but you've not seen any of
I haven't
the
seen any plans.
actual diagrams?
Okay. I thought I had included them the last packet. Do you want to come in tomorrow or Friday and go over them with me?
Sure.
So you can look at all the
Yeah,
plans?
okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, we could, I saw them, when we talked to Craig, but we saw the financials for the three options and it's the third option. I forget which one it
Three
is.
A
It's 3A.
is the preferred staff.
Staff and engineers,
Yeah.
and from Craig's perspective as the major landowner along a good chunk of Boulder Path Road, he preferred that option as well. He likes the idea of the sidewalk being all along the east side, that is the golf course side from the intersection of Valley, Snows Brook, and Boulder, all the
From-
way up to
On the
West
on the
Branch,
west side,
east side.
west
Uh,
side.
It's
The
north.
sidewalk's currently on the west side, right?
Yes,
Yes. the
moving it
side-
across.
Moving it
Oh.
across onto the other
Completely on the
side.
other side.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you'll have to see it, I
You'll-
think,
yeah, I'll show you. So the two major things, instead of having a completely separate, three major things. Instead of having a completely separated sidewalk, they abut, okay? And there's a granite curb on both sides of the road, the entire length of the road, up to west branch.
Okay,
There were two options, putting the sidewalk on the same side that it currently is, or putting and having it right up against the road, or putting it on the opposite side, the clubhouse side of the road. After talking to public safety, public works, from a public safety standpoint, we have no pedestrian crossings along Boulder Path Road until you get up to, no, you don't have any pedestrian crossings if it's on the east side of the road.
okay.
And then from a public work standpoint, it's much easier to maintain with the sidewalk all on one side. You just have to, you
So
just
does that,
go up.
that plan have any kind of pedestrian bike lane?
It looks just like the sidewalk between Village Road and the bridge along Valley Road,
Uh-huh.
where it's a wide sidewalk with a granite curb directly abutting the road.
Okay,
So it would look very similar to that all the way up through. So that becomes the, the little kids.
The
bike
pedestrian
and
way and
pedestrian
and
way, the
inexperienced
multi-use path,
path,
in other
right.
words.
all right.
Yeah.
What about any opportunity for public input on this preferred plan?
Oh, we can do a public hearing anytime.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I've had, a number of people, not loads, but I've had
Yeah.
a few people say to me, when do we get a chance to?
Yeah.
Other than Craig, that
Yeah.
when do we get a chance to look at what the plan?
Yeah,
might
we can
look
schedule
like?
a public hearing.
Yeah.
At any time.
Absolutely, anytime,
We can do it beginning of our meeting on the 20th.
if that's what you want to do. Yeah, we're ready to present it. Dave, any other input from public safety side? Between,
No, I mean, we'll look at the plans and see how the, crosswalks shake out and that sort of thing.
so, yeah, under moving it all to the east side, you move the crosswalk on Snow's Brook Road
Mhm.
from one side of the Boulder Path intersection down to the other. So
Yeah.
closer to the golf clubhouse.
Yeah.
But it looks the same. So you have one crossing from the multi-use path over to the new sidewalk multi-use path.
Mhm.
And then there is no crossing except Snow's Mountain Road. So,
Well, there would be one for the entrance to the garage area.
yes, I'm sorry, yes,
Right.
for the coming across from tubing.
Yeah.
Where there's a
Yeah.
crossing now, where the
Right,
golf,
where there's a
Golf
crossing
carts.
now.
where the golf
Yeah.
carts cross now.
Yeah.
So that would still be there.
Yeah.
Right.
And going over it with Patrick, it was like fewer pedestrian crossings on Boulder Path is just
Yeah, we'd
inherently
lose
safer.
one, I
We'd
think.
lose
Yeah.
one.
The one by Snow's Mountain.
So what about sewer and water on this stretch?
They're gonna do some conceptual numbers. The biggest issue with having the sidewalk on the east side is it will be right above the existing water line. So the cost estimates that you have in your packet do not reflect any water and sewer line costs. But that's something we will need to talk about, is how do we approach that? Do we leave it under the side? Because anytime you have a problem with the
Mhm.
water line, you would be digging up that multi-use path. Because it goes, that's exactly where the water line is.
But if we're gonna bring this to town warrant
Mhm,
in 2025,
mhm. He will have our conceptual numbers by the end of the year.
okay.
For the
Yeah,
water.
for the water
potentially
and
sewer.
sewer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're working, they came and met with
So
Dylan.
we'd do it simultaneously.
They
We'd do
came
it
and
all in
met
one-
with, yeah, well, we could do it as an ad alternate. I wouldn't put it all in as a single project. I would give us the flexibility to accept or not accept portions of it. I would break it down. So if we didn't like the cost of,
Well, it sort of
The
depends
water
on
and
where
sewer.
it goes, I guess.
exactly.
Okay.
And there any possibility of any,
And remember, well, yeah, just one more
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Remember Dylan, does want to maintain both of the water lines
right,
because they loop to different areas. He's mentioned that a
right.
couple of
This would
times, I
be
think.
the follow-on where the lines,
Would go
right,
in the
You
future.
mean under, the eighth fairway? Is that what we're talking about?
He wants to
Right.
keep the one on the eighth fairway and the one on the east side.
Okay.
It's
Just
not really
continue
in
to
the
use
fairways
those.
and continue to use those. We can put,
Mm.
pipe in the ground so we don't have to dig everything up again. And then put in, blind flanges or whatever
Mhm.
connections and use it if we have a leak that we don't want to repair. And I think from
Mhm.
Craig's perspective, that would be the best because obviously we're not digging down the eighth fairway or digging in the side of
Mhm.
on the east side. So.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so why don't we plan on having a public hearing on the 20th?
okay,
And
I'll stop in and,
you can stop in
yeah,
and
tomorrow or Friday, just
yeah.
call me or text me or whatever and
Okay.
when you can come over.
all right,
And have when Wendy gets back, probably talk to her as well,
Yep,
so she can see it.
well, she's seen it.
As part of the
because she
town
was
core
the
working
town core
group,
working
right? Okay,
Review.
and then we'll get the public input, and then we'll talk about it some more, and then we'll get to the budget at some point, and integrate it into the budget.
Mhm. Well, I think on the
Mhm.
cost estimates between the three options, so
Mhm.
you have just replacing what is
Mhm.
there now. That was option one.
Right,
The second option was the attached multi-use path on the west side,
Mhm.
and then option three was on the east side.
Right,
The differences in price between those three were not as large as I thought they were going to be, because the third option, we actually moved the road over within the right of way.
Mhm.
And you'll see that when I show you the plans. I thought that would be much more expensive, but it really didn't end up being. So,
Okay. So the road and the sidewalk abut each other
yes,
with a curb,
with the curb in between them, yeah.
and is the sidewalk higher than the road?
Yeah, yeah, by about 3 inches, just like it is on Valley Road.
Okay,
okay. To be continued.
Mhm.
All right. If there are no other questions on that, let's move on to department head report.
David Britton. That's just, and I need to talk to you, in
I don't have it on
non-public,
my,
4D.
I don't have a D
Oh,
on
okay.
mine.
Yeah, I changed
Okay.
the agenda does have a 4D on it in the packet.
Oh, okay.
And
Right,
that
I
will
remember.
need to be non-public
All
because
right.
I got a legal
Okay, we'll move on then.
recommendation
All right,
from council.
so let's move on to department head reports. Brooke, you want to start us off?
Sure. We got news that our van is ready. The one that we ordered a few months ago and ready for pickup. So we're just waiting. I know that the sale has been taken care of and we're just waiting on getting some plates so we can drive down and pick it up in Massachusetts. So hopefully that will be in the next week.
We have one we're abandoning.
The old bus, we
Yeah.
we sold it, we got rid of it. It was not safe. It was
Are
not
we doing
safe, so
something with
we
it though? I mean,
disposed of it. We did a
We did
sale
already?
earlier this
So
year, yeah.
we'll have
Oh,
our
I think I know.
2019 bus and we'll have this van. So we'll have those two vehicles.
And I'd just like to say one thing. Number one, the car company maintained the price,
Mhm.
which was very good. I mean,
63.
yeah, 63,000. So we're within the budget that we had approved at
Mhm.
town meeting, which I thought was very good because
Yeah.
it's been several months. And the finance company actually dropped the interest rate on the lease program. So the annual payments are slightly smaller than they
Okay.
were. which was another really good thing.
Is
So
it a 3-year lease?
3-year
purchase?
lease.
3-year lease
Um,
purchase?
did we do
Actually, I think they were-
4-year lease?
So that's good news, so I'm excited for that. And let's see, today I had the opportunity to go to Wolfboro for a district meeting. And we all were able to tour the Pop Whalen Ice Arena in Wolfboro. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. But they had an ice arena there, the town run ice arena. And about a year and a half ago, they took it and they put some money into it to make it nicer and build out sort of the perimeter a little to include offices and multi-purpose room and different things. So that was really neat to kind of see that up close and to see the things they wish they had done. And, just made me think about, they had some of the same, their old ice arena was at the same age as ours. So it's just interesting to see kind of a new updated situation and what they can do with that.
They still use it as an ice arena though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They do. Then they have like, the Kingswood and Brewster, I think, use it. And they
For
have
their
8
teams.
Yes, and they have 8 locker rooms, but they also have like somebody who comes in and takes care of the hockey academy part of it, or not hockey academy, that's us, but the hockey program that comes in there.
Mhm.
So, and then they have, all the other things, open skate and whatever else. It's near the Abenaki ski hill that they have there, which is also run by the town. So anyway, it's really interesting to kind of see that.
Do they have an online presence?
Yeah,
Could you send the link
sure.
to us?
No problem. Tyler is still guiding some hikes and he did his last cycling trip, I think. I mean, if he was working today, he probably would have wanted to go out today. It's so beautiful.
For a while.
Yeah, just sort of wrapping it up. And it's, the hikes will continue and then when the snow comes, the snowshoeing will start up again, but we are just offering things here and there that we're trying to start. We've got a chair yoga class that we're offering at no charge to our residents and taxpayers. And then we also have floorball that we're trying to get going and, of course, pickleball. And I wanted to let you know that there are 2 indoor pickleball places opening, one in Lincoln and one in Belmont. So that's gonna hopefully alleviate a little bit of the pressure that we had last year. In the numbers, so I'm hoping that will happen. Neither of those places are open yet, but their plan is to be open this winter. We took a trip yesterday because they were out of school. The kids went on a field trip yesterday, the after school kids, we had 11 kids go down to the museum and Cowabungas. And we're just getting ready for, we have a little bit of downtime of planning until we have Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the, winter, all those people that will be coming into using the recreation department. Our Halloween event went really well. Our numbers were slightly down. Not by a lot, but just by a little. And it was a little bit, the day wasn't as great, but the weather. So anyway, that's.
You think having it, what it was like 5 days or so before the actual Halloween, you think that?
It's possible. I mean, it's our tradition to have it the Saturday before Halloween. That's pretty much what we always do.
Yeah.
So that we were talking about maybe what could have happened, that definitely could be part of it. I know that, Craig does something at the golf course now, and that's starting to attract more people and, I mean, who knows? But it's still there's still plenty of kids and lots of fun had. It's just that some years, like COVID, we had the most, and it's sort of just been going back to normal numbers again, so. And speaker series, we are working with the Ray Center to offer the speaker series in the multipurpose room now that we have that back. And I think that's about it.
Working on your budget numbers?
Yeah, we've already gone,
Yeah.
I got admin
Okay,
here.
Yes. But I took the week off last week and I did that before I left.
all right,
The first
Chris.
swing.
first cut. All right. Nothing else for Rick? Hello, chief.
Hi, how's it going?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Very good,
Welcome back.
thank you. Yeah, I was out, last week.
Mhm.
Last week. Yeah. But, not too much to, to report other than what's in our brief there. Some good news with Lakes Region, I will brief synopsis.
Yep.
We may not need a bunch of political power to convince them to get us the money. There's a grant opportunity there, but we did vote to add an extra 100,000 to our capital project and approve their budget this past week. So it's only an increase of $2,800 for us for this upcoming year. And good hopes, speaking with the executive counselor, that we have a good opportunity for a grant to get the rest of the money, so it wouldn't impact the 35 towns that are part of Lakes Region with the new move. State did approve the construction project and allocated the money for it, and they are expecting to break ground in the spring. Excuse me, in the spring. And looking at fall of 26 to be in there. So hopefully it won't have as big of an impact on us. They said if the grant does come through, that extra $2,800 will be a rebate on next year's bill. So we're really not just an investment of just in case, putting money away, just in case the grant doesn't come through, allows some flexibility with loan options and that sort of thing. Other than that, we did our use of all the full timers, and James did our use of force training. That's annual 4-hour classroom, plus we need to shoot. Colby's been doing a really good job with that. We got the cruiser, the new cruiser is back, but the other cruiser came up with a problem where all the lights were shutting off, as far as like all the emergency lights. Like there's no power whatsoever, so we swapped cars, left that car down there to be repaired. Supposedly it's ready. We're gonna try to go grab it tomorrow, and get that car back. So we'll be back up. We did some applications for Amanda. She's gonna be hopefully attending the Fire Academy in January down in Stratford. Stratford seems like far, but she lives in Salem, so this will actually work out well for her in her schedule. For we're working into her schedule for attending the classes. It's 2 nights a week, and not every weekend, but just some weekends. And she gets done in May, I believe, and that'll get her Fire 1. We have one applicant who is a per diem staff member, who's a paramedic firefighter that's interested in part-time police. We're working on his background right now. If everything works out, slated for him and Jim to start the part-time academy in January. And that goes all the way till June. So again, couple nights a week, 7 weekends.
So what does that do for your staffing if Amanda's gone part of the time and they're going?
We're gonna have to move some people around to minimize our overtime, but we have some flexibility that we can make it happen. That way I'll just lose Jim during the day, most days, but we can supplement with Chris being around and having Jeff. We can still have that third person, especially having a medic around too, will be helpful. So, but other than that, we did a fire drill at the school. Jim found out that you don't pull the pull station in the kitchen.
It's
Why
set it
not?
off. Did it set it off?
It works?
It works.
All right, good.
Only reason why is because I did it probably about 10-15 years ago and no better. A little bit of a mess, so we cleaned it up and we'll have to get it reset, but our fault.
Oops.
But other than that, just gonna finishing up now. We're just in re-inspection schedule. We haven't done the initial inspections. The mountain's not ready yet. We're at baseline
For the season, right?
Admin and the restaurants up there here within the next month to get them ready. They've come a long way. They've done a good job. We did the Schwindy and we did consult for Sunnyside, they wanna open it just temporarily instead of tents for their events. But they didn't have a working fire alarm system in there, and so they've been able to put a system in and, get stuff in there, so we'll be inspecting that stuff here in the next month or so, the next few weeks.
It was great that the ladder truck was down at Todd
Mhm.
Yeah.
Baldwin's memorial service. That looked wonderful. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it was the least we could do. Todd was a good friend of us and, talking with all the, old guard, I call it, that, some of the originals that were here, and it brought up, we had been talking for several years now about having a little more of a historical presence and the station, kind of establishing. So reaching out to them, and I'll reach out to Reggie too about finding some old pictures and getting some stuff up and maybe putting some of the old chiefs and that sort of thing up on the wall. Kind of having a little more. We have some
Mhm.
blank space there in the bay now, by the sitting area, eating area.
And we're recognizing him in the annual report.
Yeah, I don't think we
Yeah.
actually voted on it, but
We
I
haven't
think,
voted
but
on
I
it.
think that was
Yeah.
proposition, right?
All I have.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got. the
DPW?
DPW, Megan's out of the office today. The crew has been putting out plow stakes and prepping snow plow equipment. The red truck is set up with the sander. The good thing about the white truck with the new sanding arrangement equipment on the truck, they don't have to put in a sander.
Mm.
Uses that same bed. So all they have to do basically is hook up the plows and they're good to go. They're just buttoning up other areas around town for the winter. Dale is back on the 11th of November
Oh,
in a
good.
part-time
good.
capacity. He'll be working 4 hours a day, 5 days a week
Good.
on light duty. So we're working on developing tasks for him that he'll be able to do when he's here. Dylan is also out today, so water and sewer. They're doing regular plant operations, daily testing and maintenance at the wastewater plant. Water department is completing their winter prep tasks, getting the hydrants winterized, putting the markers on them, making sure that those will be able to be dug out properly. And then they're just doing regular maintenance and treatment operations. For about the last week to 10 days, they've been helping Valley Run Property Management with the water connection repair up at Noon Peak Condos. So I think they're finished with that now. The admin side, huge thank you to the staff and volunteers on the election yesterday. Went very well. Record-breaking numbers.
Yep.
Patty did a wonderful job.
Yep.
And the whole crew did, but
Yep, and
she was the leader, so.
yep, and I want to thank Sharon. We had over 130 absentee
Absentees,
ballot
yeah.
applications, and tracking those was quite a job over the past month or so. So thank
good.
you to everybody who did that. Department heads have all presented their initial budget requests. Steve and I have a time scheduled tomorrow to start reviewing the capital side of the budget. We are on track to be able to get you the numbers by the end of next week or the beginning of Thanksgiving week. So that is coming along well. We are trying to figure out the report writer system in the new BSNA software so that you can read what information we're presenting to you. So, but that's gone very well, and department heads were well prepared for that. So that's
Okay.
the rest of the department head stuff.
Very good. Thank you. So I see the next item is approval of minutes, but I don't think you can.
Well,
because I
Oh,
shouldn't
right,
vote on
you
them.
should not vote on them, so we'll
So
have to table.
Defer
that
them until Wendy
Yeah.
returns at the next meeting,
Yeah.
right? Financial report.
You have the financial report. We are tracking, pretty well. Got a couple of the revenue line items, that we're watching, but we have separated out all of the lines, that Wendy was asking about at the last
Okay.
meeting. So those are all reflected in the proper spaces now. Do you have any questions?
Nope, that was good.
No, I don't have
We're
anything.
good.
All right. Moving along. Calendar review. So our next regular select board meeting is on 20 November here at 3 p.m. The planning board has their regular board meeting here at 8 a.m. on the 14th of November. And we need to select a time. I would presume after you're done with your review with Steve over the capital improvement. And to
Yeah.
set that up so we can work it through our budget process. So we probably need to do that sometime
Yeah,
at the end of this month.
When was Wendy supposed to be back?
She's just gone for a week, so.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it's the end of this week, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, we'll be ready to do what, next week is pretty busy. I've got a couple of coalition things that I'll talk about in a minute that are happening next week, but maybe 18th, 19th,
I'm gone
You're
till
gone.
I come back the night of the 18th.
night of the 18th. So 20, 21, 22.
Yep, the
Those-
20th is our
yeah.
regular meeting,
Yeah,
our regular meeting day, and we're now gonna have a public hearing.
yeah. So
that,
do you
so-
want to do something earlier that day and just try to do it through the whole,
I've I've got something, I need to leave here around 9 and I won't be back until about 1.
okay,
So we may have, what's the next day? look like?
morning of the 21st.
First? Would have to be the afternoon for me.
Afternoon,
Yeah. We got a planning, do we have a planning board meeting on it? What, is that a special one we laid on?
that's right, there is,
Right.
so we can't do the 21st.
It would have to be the afternoon.
22nd, well, I got North Country Council.
Okay. The 22nd, the afternoon works for me.
Afternoon, 22nd, Dave, you around 22nd afternoon?
It's a Friday.
Are
Yeah,
you-
we can start at 1.
So what's the topic?
Well, the topic is what are we gonna do with the CIP?
Okay.
Look at all the stuff we have programmed out in the years and
Now that we know that.
a better idea of the
treatment
timing of the
plan-
treatment
timing
plan
For
and
the
so forth.
treatment plant.
We want to monkey with the schedule so that we could,
So 11:20 at 1.
11:22,
22,
11:22 at 1 PM.
right?
I don't know about Wendy whether that's good for her or not.
Yeah, well,
Find
I'll find out when she gets back. I'll send her an email, so.
Yeah,
Um,
be good. That way we can give guidance to the committee on the planning board so they can look at it and start
Yeah.
figuring out what the priorities are from their perspective.
Okay.
So that is 11:22, 1 PM. Special. Let's see. Okay, and takes care of the calendar. Board concerns and directives. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been thinking about our discussions on dumpster enclosures.
Yeah,
And my conclusion is that we should have wording that says something like, we encourage doors or screening in order to be respectful of the visual impact on the facility to the town,
mhm,
but not mandate, that we
Okay.
encourage
Screening of the dumpster.
doors or screening rather than have something that might be hard to enforce and that we don't enforce.
So right now we require screening of the door area. so that you cannot see the dumpsters inside. Correct, right?
Mhm.
The enclosure is supposed to screen
I mean,
the dumpster, but in some places, it just doesn't seem to be workable the way the dumpsters are.
that's
are
my feeling,
placed
and I think
and
rather than have something that we can't really enforce.
enforced. I tend to agree with that
So,
general point.
anyway, that would.
Was-
That's my compromise idea, but I don't know.
Was the Wendy looking at that? Were we waiting to hear back from?
The solid waste
Yeah.
working group has a meeting next week.
All right,
Yes.
I think they were still looking at that
Mhm.
before we were gonna address it as a
Yep.
board, but I think that's certainly something they should discuss.
Anyway, that's
With
that's
Bob.
just my thoughts on it.
Well, and that, I was actually gonna ask you today, about, potentially putting wording on the warrant, for town
Mhm,
meeting to get input, whether it was a straw poll or whether we wanted to
Yeah, we
take
could
a
do that, certainly.
binding vote. But if we did this, Bob, what you're recommending, we could come up with language,
Yeah.
and town meeting would have to approve it anyway, because it's a town meeting ordinance,
Yeah.
so.
Anyway, I mean, I just played around with it.
Yeah, no, we
Probably come up
can-
with better language
yeah.
than that, but
Yeah.
I use the word encourage.
Yeah.
As opposed
Yeah.
to require.
And, yeah, and Dave, from a code enforcement standpoint, you can weigh in as far as language, but we're gonna need to think about how we do that, because I was talking to Mike White about, there are places where the dumpsters, if you put doors on it, it makes it virtually impossible
You know,
for them to use, to
Mhm.
dump the
To be serviced.
enclosure. Yeah,
I think we just recognize the fact that this is a problem area that we're gonna have,
right,
Yeah,
we have to live
Yeah.
with.
well, we're only talking about really, that you can see from a publicly maintained way.
yeah,
So, there are, the big ones, the obvious ones, are the ones at Town Square, the six at Town Square.
Yeah.
And the two at the athletic club, I think. But beyond those, I don't think you can see many from a public way at all.
I
Silver
mean,
Fox has done a good job keeping theirs on there.
Yeah, they
But
put, they put a way in back, and I think
We-
we
we
committed
did.
to,
where's
town
that?
did.
well, but we committed to
Silver Fox.
rebuild, for
Yeah.
building them an enclosure.
And no, it was hard for me to enforce it, because I would mention it and knowing that the guys said, well, it makes it difficult if they actually put some on some of them on there. So you kind of want to give them a little leeway, but you understand that aesthetically you want it to.
Yeah, but it's way back there, so
Yeah.
it's,
I mean,
Sounds
use best efforts to make it
Mhm.
as
Inobtrusive
Yeah.
as possible, yeah.
but we can put language like that and other language that still gives the, because we're gonna do what, inspection every
Every
year.
year,
So we can have language in there that gives some ability of the Department of Public Works Chief, the ability to
Mhm.
to make a judgment call too.
Yeah.
All right,
Bob, was the updated task list
I think it was great.
better than what you were
Yes.
looking at before?
Yeah.
Okay. So every time we finish something, it'll go on that last page?
Yeah, I think that's a little
Yeah.
bit easier to
Can I
read.
ask, on number 9,
Sure,
town dock and dredging engineering,
yeah.
I thought that was a rebuild, not a total replacement.
Well, when we looked at it with the contractors, they're all recommending that we do a total replacement. So we're gonna have to think about that with the CIP, because when they built it, the distance between the support cross beams was larger than
They were sagging, right?
And,
I
and
think I
it was
remember this discussion.
sagging in between. Remember when Will talked to us
Yeah.
about that? So they recommending that we put those closer together so that it's properly supported. So that would mean tearing up the entire thing, and then,
But it already had rotting.
And it already
foundation.
had, well, the underneath was rotting, so we were gonna replace
Yeah.
it, but if you put them closer together, you have the sag
Yeah,
portion, it won't go back together correctly, so
Right.
you're gonna be replacing everything.
Trex, right, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever the material is, so we're gonna need to go back and get another total price for the entire dock.
I mean, while we're doing that, is there a different way to do it?
you mean like thinking about
I don't
something
know.
else? Yeah, I mean, I guess it's worth thinking about.
Well, everything from a dock to rebuilding what we have, right?
I mean, one option is just to do it the way it is and redo
Right.
it, but
Yeah.
another, we could look at,
What
Well,
else could we do?
There are
Yeah.
different dock systems.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you could put a dock system
Into
on
the-
pylons
Right,
that you wouldn't have to build that whole infrastructure
I'm not
underneath. You could,
sure I'm suggest a metal one, but you
no, not a
could,
metal
you
one.
could though.
Yeah, I mean, but you could go with a metal one. Technology's changed a lot since we started
And maybe
using.
Trex has something that's a.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that is on pilings rather than on the ground. I think we should investigate that a little bit.
I guess one that floats wouldn't be right, because with the pond level changes,
Yeah, it changes too much right there, yeah,
but I think it's worth thinking about if there's a different
Yeah.
way to do it.
okay. Why don't we start looking at our options?
Yeah, we might have to get someone in that knows a bit more
Yeah.
about it.
Mhm, sure,
All
okay.
right,
Do you have anything else on the list,
I don't think so. Let me see.
okay, I had a couple things, but you have something on the list?
No,
Well, speaking of the pond level changing,
yeah,
there've been a couple inquiries as to
Okay.
why it was so low.
it is because of
Right.
drawdown for snowmaking.
Did you see the, I think I sent
I
you a couple
did.
emails, but
I
it's,
saw
it
it.
is,
It is, yeah, I confirmed with the crew, we have not pulled any blocks.
and
Right.
they haven't made snow for a couple of days and it's gone back up.
Right,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Plus it had to rain, so.
yeah,
and,
I mean,
and with the rain, it's,
it's barely a
it's
trickle coming
gonna-
from Snow's
yeah.
Brook.
Drought, we're at that time for the drought condition.
yeah,
Excuse me,
don't say the D word.
the D word, no. We don't want that. The only other thing I had was I noticed now that the pylons are up, I noticed again today that we have contractors using our multi-purpose path as a parking area. This afternoon, I noticed again, people working on the lawns at Green Peak.
Yeah,
It's a convenient place to pull up.
yeah.
It's
We'll
gonna be-
continue, I think that's a battle. I think
Yes, it's always going to
until
be,
we get them educated
right.
as far as where they should.
This is a
be.
sidewalk walkway, not a,
Is there any
Parking
hope that the villas are gonna finish their project anytime soon and get rid of the equipment that's out?
Well, actually.
I think Jim took, I think in their report, right?
Yeah, we have forwarded, they have completed their landscaping plan per the plans that were submitted
Mhm.
to the planning board. And we're gonna be reporting, Dave's gonna be reporting to the planning board on the 14th.
Okay,
The status of the contingencies that were in the approval.
okay,
But they've met the outdoor,
I'm just thinking of all the
Portion.
equipment that's still been there. It doesn't look like it ever moves.
Yeah, they're still on, we actually have a CO inspection tomorrow on the units, and according to Daley, he's ready for all the roughs for the remainder of the units, hopefully by the end of the month, so. So they should be moving, sounds like pretty quickly here in the next few weeks. But we'll be over there tomorrow, and I was waiting to talk to them about it, so,
yeah, and there are a couple piles of dirt, at the corner that are still there that
yeah,
they're gonna need for snow storage.
yeah,
I think they're gonna wanna move some of that.
yeah.
I haven't been back behind in that corner there. Have they even begun their dumpster enclosure yet?
No, not that I know of.
Cause I thought we told them that we approved we would approve it, but they had to have it completed by the end of September.
Yeah, they have not moved
Okay.
forward.
Do we-
And
do we
we
need
won't
to-
put we won't put a dumpster in
No,
there.
no, I'm saying, do
you
we
know.
need to revisit it as a board in terms of a decision? Or
Um,
do we wanna just leave it and when they finish it, they finish it?
well, when they, well,
We can find out from
However
them what
you
the
want
plan
it.
is. Let's see what their plan is.
I'm gonna be over there
They're running out of-
tomorrow,
yeah.
so
they're
I'll see.
running out of time.
Right.
They will not be able to put anything in the ground soon,
Yeah,
without a lot of effort.
right,
So, we just won't put a dumpster over there until they
right,
have built the enclosure, and if that's next spring, we'll
right.
tell them they gotta submit another request
All right.
because the time has expired.
Yeah, let's see what they
Mm.
say. You could talk to them, chief, and then we could address it as a board, whether we wanna just
Sure.
let it roll till the end of the year or something, or have them come back and reapply. Does that sound okay to you, Bob?
Mhm.
All right, I think that's all I had. I see we had a couple pieces of correspondence,
Yep, you
getting comments on lights.
You got a comment, actually, you got the one that I included in your packet,
Yeah.
which was not in favor of the street light.
Either
down
of
here.
the design.
Either of the designs, but the
Right.
one we were really asking about was the one at the corner of Triple I Road and Tack Lane. Obviously, Miss Myrick did not like that look, but then I got another one today.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, that Ray does like the look of them and thinks we should.
either one of them or the one that's at the,
The carriage, the more carriage light.
the one with the
looking
hang,
one,
yeah.
With the hanging light. So you have one in favor,
One
one
against,
opposed. So that's what I've gotten so far.
okay.
And tell me again about the electric company's lack of, do we have lights that are out?
Yes, we have
Yes.
lights that are out and we have lights that won't go off. So they
Okay.
stay on all the time. And there are sensors on the top of lights. They no longer stock those
Hmm.
at the co-op. And they won't fix them. So
All right. And I think the other piece of correspondence was on the DES response.
Yep, it was a DES response from wastewater that was notifying us that the potential sewer line between the new plant and the ski area is going to be eligible to be part of the Clean Waters State Revolving Fund, a funding source.
Mm-hmm,
So that would make up to 35% of the cost eligible for grant and loan
yeah,
forgiveness.
where we could be forced to
Were we to be forced to do it.
do it.
It is
Something, I
silent,
suppose.
it is silent, on the septic system. We have
Mhm.
not pressed that with DES yet. Until we get an answer from the Forest Service on whether or not we can do it. That level of funding, 35-40% would
Mhm.
be about $2 million on our estimated cost right now. So the
Mhm.
delta there kind of sets the parameters for the septic system.
Right,
So anything under $3 million would be an additional savings to the town.
at least for the construction,
at least for the
engineering
construction.
construction, but
Right.
not the.
Right.
The real cost,
Which is maintenance
O&M,
going forward.
right,
So, but that was good news. We will have to do a pre-application next year to continue with the funding, but that's something they told us we would need to do.
okay,
Anyway, this was issued to us before we had the modified timeline, and we still need to contact the funding office at DES and talk about any potential impacts on our project approval on the funding side
okay,
with the extension to the timeline. So we have not had that conversation yet.
and speaking of the Forest Service, we've not received a response yet for asking for a meeting.
Not yet.
Okay. Anything, Bob, further and anything else on correspondence? Did you want to talk about the swept issue?
Yeah,
on
the
correspondence?
coalition, so coalition communities, the big week next week, we've got a membership meeting continuation on Tuesday. There's been a proposed change in the funding mechanism for the coalition communities budget.
Okay.
That's that last sheet that's in your packet, the spreadsheet. Now I don't have it. Where is it here?
Yep. Got it.
So right now, our funding system is based on a prorated share of the total budget that is approved by the membership every year, based on a total assessed value within the community. So as an example, Waterville Valley currently pays
17.
yeah, I'm just sorry.
Yeah,
Uh,
and
one-
1759.
$1,952 is our existing
yeah.
dues proportion. The town of Hampton has proposed changing the funding mechanism to be paid on a proportional basis for the amount of excess swept that community would be responsible for.
What's the bottom line here?
The bottom line is our share
Will
for
go
the
up.
town of Waterville Valley would go up from $1,952 to $3,710.
And why is Hampton?
Well, they're
what's
doing
the-
it
why do they think this is-
because they vary year to year on this. There are some years where they have they do not owe any, they do not have any excess swept because of fluctuations in their student population. They're right on the edge with their total valuation. So one year they're a donor town, one year they're a receiver town. And within the group of coalition communities, they have a very high total assessed valuation.
Hampton,
So
sure.
they would be, I think they were the number 5 paying. So there's Hampton's change goes from $18,000 to nothing next year because they're a
they're dropping
receiver
down.
community. So that's the bottom line. They're just requesting, the city of Portsmouth would go from $18,242 to 37. I'm sorry, Molten Borough would go from 18,242 that they currently pay up to 37,565 because their swept excess is huge.
Right.
Um,
What do the rest of the towns or the board think
The
about it?
board voted not to do this.
Okay.
And the reason was because like the Hampton example, towns fluctuate in how much excess swept they have every year. Whether it's a reval, whether it's changing population for their school systems. For a town like us, we have very small numbers, so it isn't a big
No.
difference. But the total assessed valuation is pretty constant relative between the towns, right? So the town
Everybody's
of
moving up or
Hebron,
down,
up or down,
roughly the same.
basically in the same way.
Yeah.
Because it's an equalized valuation
Right.
that we use, so you don't get the wild fluctuations. So administratively, it's much easier to calculate, and total valuation, you get up and downs, but they generally even out. So it's
So the board's against it.
the
would-
joint board is
Would
against, has voted
Hampton bail
against.
on the coalition communities?
Yeah, they may. But if we did make the change and we lost the top 5 on this list that show, that's the other piece from the joint
Right.
board standpoint. Everybody joined in 2021 under the total valuation system. And it was developed by the membership. So, you have all of the communities over here versus one of the communities here. So we didn't think that it was enough of a difference to warrant putting the entire organization.
Anything this
at
board
risk.
has to do?
Well, I would like guidance on voting next Tuesday. Do you want to make the change, or do you have a preference? What would you like me to do?
I don't think I'm in favor of it to the extent I understand it.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like there's only one town pushing for this. And if we were to do this, we may lose a number of towns.
Yeah.
And the risk being we may lose one town.
Yeah.
Who else is on the board?
There are 2 other managers. The city manager in Lebanon and the manager consultant for the town of Newington. And then 2 select board members, one from Bridgewater and one from Hebron. That's the current joint board, but this is a membership vote, so
Right,
anybody who
but the
shows
board
up.
is
But
voted.
the board
board
has
is-
voted
is
to recommending no.
Not
The board vote
make this
unanimously?
change.
Yeah, unanimous.
All right, well, then I think I would go with that. Bob, you too? Yeah,
All right.
and next week's the big week.
And next week's a big week. Next Wednesday, a week from today, Supreme Court oral arguments on the Rand case appeal. So I would expect that we'll have oral arguments next Wednesday and then some sort of decision. If not by the end of the year, then early in January.
So is he personally funding this, or is that, maybe you don't know?
I have no idea. I believe
Oh, you mean
that
Rand?
I
Yeah.
believe that the attorneys we're the plaintiffs on the appeal, but on the original plaintiffs, I believe it's all being done pro bono. Andrew Valinsky and his firm
Yeah.
are doing it at no cost.
Oh.
So, we'll see. The election was very positive from the coalition standpoint. Republican governor who has indicated that she is not in favor of a return to donor receiver communities system. The Republican Senate, which basically led the efforts against any legislation last session. We went from a 14-10 Republican majority to a 16-8 Republican majority last night. And in the House, the Republican majority, which was one seat during the last session, is now looking like it could be as much as 220 to 180, so a 40 seat majority. So that probably means that most of the legislation that's already been introduced by the Democrat leadership,
Which is in favor
for
of-
proposed bills,
right.
they're in favor of the return to
Right.
excess SWEP. And that probably those things are dead in committee.
Never come out of committee.
I don't think they will, but who
There's
knows?
cross-cutting pressure.
There were
too,
some
yeah.
cross-cutting pressures that we saw
Some
last
towns,
sessions, that some towns are big receiver communities with a Republican representative.
Sure,
So it could happen, but generally it's along a party line split, so. And then who knows, whatever happens with the Supreme Court decision, that
we'll
could
go from there.
mess up everything as well, so.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. There will be, you may hear about some media articles.
Mhm,
There
they're
have
out there,
been
yeah.
several articles already. I don't know whether it's to put pressure on the Supreme Court or just get the topic out there before the decision is made, but there have been a couple of not too kind to the coalition articles, but part of life.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all
Are
I
we
have.
done?
Non-public.
Shall we go to
for
non-public?
10 minutes, yeah.
Okay, could I have a motion to go into non-public, please?
Yep.
Legal.
All in
for
for legal,
matters.
for a legal matter, all in favor?
Aye.
I second it. So let us know, Sharon, when we are in non-public.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.